Hello everyone, this is NainaMD Beverly Hills, Fusion of Science and Beauty. Welcome to my show. As you know, I have a passion for anti-aging and regenerative medicine. And today's topic is what everyone wants to know. Why can't I lose weight? I've got a fabulous guest. This is in our ongoing series. He's my regular guest, Teodoro Gaetano, celebrity fitness trainer.
Hello, how are you?
How are you, Teo?
Thank you. Thanks
So,
for having me.
you know, this is another ongoing on our series. We've talked about, you know, how orthomolecular nutrition is important
Yes.
in terms of fitness, what kind of exercises are important. And today, I just want to open it up. The biggest question, like I'm always asked, is why can't I lose weight? I'm sure you're asked the same question.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to let you take the lead, and then we'll kind of just let the audience know what's involved in this.
You're absolutely right, you know, because everybody keep asking me. As a matter of fact, you know, somehow when you're involved in the fitness industry, you kind of like carry your craft with you.
Yes.
So in any circumstance, may it be social, formal, or informal, you find yourself in the position of being, you know, the target of a lot of questions, which, you know, otherwise would have been appreciated.
Yeah.
But yes, people do ask me a lot, how do I lose weight, especially the gut or, you know, problematic areas, or how do I gain muscle? So this is
Or how do I build up a booty, right? Women are asking that now, right?
Absolutely, yes. It's also a cultural thing, you know. People, you know, women in the 1980s, they wanted like a very small buttock area. Nowadays, so it's all a cultural and subjective factor there's to it. First of all, it's very easy to burn body fat once you understand the whole chemistry.
See, this is what when you say that it's so easy, that's a $1 trillion question. People aren't being able to do it.
It's easy. The only way that you have to know is how to do it the way that works, which is the way it's actually scientifically proven to work. So people are not burning body fat or are not losing weight. And you know the body fat percentage doesn't decrease because they're doing something wrong, and they're doing something wrong because for some reason they didn't have access to the information that is right. Without getting into details, why is that happening? Is there any, you know, marketing budget that is put into educating people to eat a certain way, to exercise a certain way, without getting into all that details? Let's just say that if everybody will know how to control their own body weight, everybody will be definitely happier and more in control of their lives.
95%,
but for some reason,
95% of women are not happy with the way
which is terrible.
It's terrible.
95%
in the U.S.
of the, you know, sex that's responsible for, you know, multiplying us and, you know,
but that's what I'm saying.
Being a happy, healthy planet.
Right, being a happy, healthy, because it's us
so
women.
Terrible.
It's us women who are the ones. Absolutely. So we really need to, and you say it's easy. So keep talking about this.
It's easy.
I'm interested.
And I just simplified the definition of effectiveness in burning body fat in the following sentence.
Right.
You need to do, in order to burn body fat, you need to do two things simultaneously. One, your temperature has to be elevated by 1 to maximum 1.5 degrees. So, in other words,
you have to be hot.
You have to be hot. You have to be hot. If you are cold, you are not going to burn body fat. And also, your heart rate has to increase with a minimum 25%. So if your heart rate is low, you are not going to burn body fat. And I'll just give you two examples. If I'm doing sauna, my body temperature goes high, but my heart rate is low. Therefore, I don't burn body fat in the sauna. which is also another question that I'm asked a lot.
Exactly.
If I do sauna 3 times a week,
will I lose weight?
No,
and
you'll
same thing
just
with the woman.
dehydrate.
And also a lot of the spas, so many of my clients tell me that I was given this like a belt or these treatments where they're just heated
That
and
are
they're not losing weight.
from, due to some miracle, oxidizing fatty acids from the cells. Of course, that's not going to happen. If the heart rate increases, all those fatty acids get put in the circulation, get pumped up to the muscles that are worked, to the lungs, or to the organs, specific organs. Therefore, they're eliminated from the system. If not, they're just staying in the system.
Got it.
Another question. For instance, another example. If you swim, right, your heart rate increases.
Yes.
But because the water in most swimming pools is, or
cold,
at least in the professional pools, it's lower than your body temperature, you don't burn body fat. So an exercise that should have been preponderantly aerobic became anaerobic just because oxygen wasn't a readily available source for that type of exercise. So that's why swimmers are burning glycogen for fuel. Although swimming, per definition, is an aerobic sport.
Got it.
That's what you need to do. You need to sweat. When you sweat, your body temperature is up, and also you need your heart rate to go
Why
up.
is it? And I experience this. Like I have a lot of clients who will tell me, that they can't sweat, and I go into, of course, as a physician, right? I go into all the metabolic reasons, like your thyroid and hormone imbalance, right?
Exactly.
But let's just say you're able to balance the hormones, then they should have no problem sweating, correct? Or is there any other? Because I can't think of any other reason, unless of course, there's sweat glands, or a lot of people will have Botox in their sweat glands and so forth like that. But aside from that, there should be no reason for people not to sweat. Sometimes poor adrenal function. If they're very stressed, I've seen that.
Or everybody has a tendency to sweat less and less and less when they work out these days, because they just don't work out that intense. They don't do it too much. They don't think it's necessary for them to actually put in a lot of effort. If you're going out, because of the fitness industry and how they industrialized it, if you're going out to a gym, you'll see more than 95% of the people doing exercises that are pretty much ineffective for any purpose. In other words,
that's what I'm saying. Everybody, 95% of people have a private trainer nowadays and are working at the gym, and I still keep getting asked, why am I not losing weight?
Private trainer or self-education in the fitness training methodology is important, but also it's important to have a high level of minerals in your body. If you are deficient in iodine, your body doesn't have the capacity to expel water that much through the sudoripary glands. So it's a very simple nutrient. It's extremely cheap. You just trade the highest bioavailable form is nascent iodine. The cost versus effect ratio is definitely
and actually it's a very good point you make, because at least that's the number one. Iodine deficiency is the number one nutritional deficiency that the World Health Organization has called, and it's getting even more so because a lot of times people don't understand that the table salts, and they go for iodized, right? Iodized table salts. But the iodized table salts have higher levels of bromine.
Exactly.
So the thyroid, it has a higher affinity for bromine than it does iodine. And the same thing is happening in Japan and all. We're seeing a higher incidence of thyroid disease because all the pesticides have bromine. So you're having brominated kelp, so to speak, rather than the iodine.
Definitely a chemical that didn't belong there.
Yep. And the breads were brominated. Now we're trying to go into non-brominated breads. The incidence, if you look at it in the 1940s, skyrocketed in America because a lot of the breads were being brominated. So it's a huge deficiency.
It's definitely a chemical we don't need.
Yeah.
In
absolutely.
our food supply.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So maybe I think that would be. I would definitely agree with the recommendation that I think iodine is definitely you need to have. That's the number one deficiency.
To just complete the line of thinking, If you are iodine deficient, oxidizing body or burning fat or losing weight, it's almost impossible. For the same reason. You simply don't have the capacity to oxidize fat through this mechanism. You simply cannot break down fatty acids. Simple, so to answer your question, if somebody has a problem losing weight, despite the fact that they put in the effort, an iodine supplement is definitely the biggest bang for the buck.
What do you see in terms of another reason why people are not being able to lose weight? They're like coming up, and another thing they'll ask is, I'm taking all this protein, I'm on such a low carb diet, right? They're taking like 100 grams or more of protein. They're taking very little carbs. Why are they still not losing weight? That's another huge question.
They're not losing weight because most likely when you're in ketosis, as in with all the low carb diets, being in ketosis keeps your body in a very acidic state.
Yes.
Which definitely is not healthy for the reproduction of cells in our body.
Because you cannot dissociate oxygen. As you know, you need a more alkaline environment.
So, to answer your question, why I'm not getting results although I'm doing this, the problem is in this and what you exactly are doing. The mainstream way of dieting, low carb, maybe Atkins or whatever, paleo, low carb diet is flawed because it puts the body in a toxic state in which not only your health deteriorates, but also your capacity, your body's own capacity of producing energy through oxidizing body fat in this case, gets a serious impediment.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you make it worse when you just keep on doing that, correct? I mean, if
yes.
if you keep on that
the
diet for
fitness industry
years.
relies on young professionals who are specifically gifted in terms of body structure, building muscle mass, losing body fat. They have naturally low percentage of, so there are exceptions that chose to promote this type of diet because it works for them fast. It works fast, of course, when your body's in a starvation alert mode. He's going to try at first to oxidize all body fat, but what's going to happen?
It won't sustain. There's no sustainability.
Due to the homeostatic process, a state in which the body is, after as short as 60 days, your body will start increasing your cortisol level, will start decreasing your thyroid hormones.
That's all like under stress, right?
So
That's the same response to stress.
Exactly, because your body is in a starvation alert mode. It's not natural for our brain to be deprived of sugar. It's not natural for our liver to produce ketones. These are all. This is an aggressive measure. This is an alert.
This is exactly what we talk about. We'll be right back after this break. NainaMD, Beverly Hills, fusion of science and beauty. Hello everyone, this is NainaMD, Beverly Hills, fusion of science and beauty. Welcome back to my show. And I'm here with Teodoro Gaetano, the celebrity fitness trainer. We both are really having a great discussion on why I can't lose weight. It's a very, very typical complaint. I think I can't even tell you the majority of people, how many people ask that question. So we were just talking about, why people can't sweat. It has to do with metabolism. We know that we have to really create heat in our bodies.
Exactly.
We also have to, this whole bit about this myth about this high protein, low carb diet.
Low carb or no carb.
Or no carb diet, exactly. We're kind of cleared up that myth. The other myth is like people always say, well, I'm working out 6 to 7 days a week. I'm doing cardio 40 minutes a day, and I'm sweating, and I'm doing weights 3 times a week. Why am I still not able to lose weight? So let's go
Of course, there are many elements in the equation.
That's exactly.
But one thing that just
and they literally swear up and down that they've not increased their caloric intake.
Exactly.
Right?
That just pops in my head is that if you're working 6 days a week and you're not getting results, that means your workout is not in order.
Yes.
Because if you work out 6 weeks, no matter what you eat, almost, no matter what you do, you definitely get results. You don't get them, the best possible if you have another missing element in the equation, but definitely you get results. So most likely it's a problem in the workout routine, what exactly she does in the gym. If she's doing mostly cardio, and like most of the people do, it's a very, very ineffective exercise in both the burning calories.
Explain that because people
it's very
think
easy.
that they have to be...
The most ineffective exercise that people do for health and for losing weight is running. Of course, from a metabolic perspective. Because when you run, your body burns a limited amount of calories because it uses primarily oxygen. And oxygen gets replenished frequently in your body. So it's like a self-sustainable energy source. When you are lifting weights, climbing stairs, climbing a mountain or a climbing panel, or any type of exercise that includes your muscles to a higher extent or to the highest extent, that's when you burn glycogen, where you need the fast fuel. You need fuel that's very effective. You need the high octane fuel. And that fuel takes a lot of time to replenish, and it's dependent upon digestion. So if you're lifting weights in the gym, you have a solid weight. That's why weightlifting is so important for mainstream, for general, for anti-aging purposes, because it raises the resting metabolic rate for up to 72 hours. In other words, because I worked out today in the gym at 8, for 3 hours I'm going to burn more calories just by sitting, sleeping, doing all my regular activities. Because my basal metabolic rate raises up. My body has to put in extra work to replenish the glycogen deposits in my muscles that I worked, to regenerate the nervous system in a way that raises and balances some hormones, because I just stopped working out as part of the recovery process. So he has to work. When I run, all the oxygen gets replenished in maximum 3 hours. So if we compare raising the metabolic rate for 3 hours versus metabolic rate for 72 hours, we see that weightlifting definitely is the winner for controlling your body weight and for having a low body fat. Because it's the most effective exercise. One gets me benefits 3 apples, one gives me 72 apples.
And also whenever you raise the basal metabolic rate, you're creating heat again. So it goes right back to, it feeds right back into what we talked about.
Your body's warmer naturally.
Yeah. And I think it's very important then to stress that it's not just, it's so really is an answer to everyone's question is they could be doing cardio 6 days a week, and maybe at that point you need to shift and start to doing weights, but again, properly assessed with a proper person who knows how to tell you how to do the weights to start to increase that, so to speak, that basal metabolic energy.
People should learn how to work out.
Exactly.
They shouldn't go and be clients of the mainstream fitness gyms and just occupy the working stations like drones. I don't mean that in an offensive way, but it's just for their benefit. It doesn't give them that time. They might want to put it off to spend with their families, to read, for their hobbies. Is definitely a much better investment in something else than in coming to the gym and just, I don't even know what they're doing, but climbing on a treadmill like a drone.
Yeah.
It's totally counterproductive.
Yeah. Okay. So
So learn how to work out with weights. Learn all the way you can, and this is the beauty of the sport.
So basically what you're really saying is building muscle and also maintaining muscle is the most important thing. Cardio doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to put muscle.
Absolutely.
Right? So we know that lifting weights, you do in fact...
When you do cardio, you don't tear up muscle fibers and you don't build them.
So
this process helps a lot with losing body fat.
So my point in saying this is that the number one cause of aging, okay, that was in Evan's book. He was a fabulous nutritionist and he wrote this book called The Top 10 Biomarkers of Aging, okay? The number one biomarker of aging
losing muscle
was
mass.
sarcopenia, losing muscle mass. And I can do it from the inside, right? I'm a physician, so as an anti-aging, I do it from the hormonal aspect. I look at the nutrients. I look at all of that, everything from the inside, right? Outside, though, just by having somebody go and do a cardio or run for in fact, I've seen more issues with people that are running 3 or 4 miles a day and that they're not paying attention. A lot of the females, especially because that's the
have joint problems.
Will have developed joint problems.
Back
a lot of
problems.
the guys and they consume their hormones, so a lot of them will come with depleted hormones. But at the same time, they don't know what else they need to be doing. So in other words, you're depleting already your pool of your hormones, okay, at a little faster rate, and without doing any kind of exercise, weight training or anything, you're actually worsening a situation.
These are also the reasons for which I consider it a counterproductive way of working out or of exercise.
Yeah. So this is another reason, you guys, why I can't lose weight. Because why I can't lose weight also means is why I can't put muscle on.
You're not doing the most effective exercises.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Another really important question everyone always asks is, and I've had to answer, is like, why is it that I am losing weight, but why is it that I'm losing fat, but my weight's not going down? Can we talk about how muscle and the fat, because that's another thing. Women and men sometimes just want to see, especially women, just want to see on the scale. I want to go down to, like by 10 pounds. Well, but you might have shifted. It's almost like we need to differentiate body mass index, right, and body composition of an athlete. When you've got an athlete who's like 90% muscle mass and 10% body fat versus the same weight, and they're like what, 50, could be 40% body fat and 60% muscle.
Two totally
different profiles.
Body chemistries.
Body chemistries and totally different medical risks. Totally different medical risks. So explain that a little bit. How that happens and how, how that happens. How does your body composition change and how do you.
Well, if you're only considering that fat is a thing of the surface,
yes,
that it has no function whatsoever, other than storing toxins upon, detoxification process. But if you're thinking that fat is a thing of the surface, if you put on muscle mass on different segments.
Are you talking about like subcutaneous fat versus the visceral fat, or?
I'm just talking about fat in general.
Okay.
Fat in general.
Okay.
If you're like putting more muscle mass, what will happen? Only if you add, let's say, 2 pounds of muscle mass, your body fat will decrease percentage with a small percentage, because automatically your body fat will be less if your muscle mass will increase. So you can attain single-digit body fat as a man. As a woman, is a little more difficult because of the hormonal profile, but other women don't need body fat that low to look with shredded abs. So only if you put muscle mass, your body fat will decrease. Because even if it's the same quantity of body fat, the same number of cells, hypothetically, they're going to be stretched out over a bigger body.
Got it.
So overall, the density is going to be less. The density of the adipose tissue is going to be less. So as a man, if you're working out with weights, increasing your muscle mass, automatically you're going to be leaner even than, I don't know, even than a marathon runner in some cases.
I got it.
Some
Yeah,
cases.
that
A
makes
professional
total sense,
bodybuilder has a body fat of 3 to 4%. I'm talking either amateurs or professionals, whereas a marathon runner has an average body fat of 6 to 7 body fat. I'm talking about males.
And that's how you do these transformations, right? Because by paying attention to these kind of things, you can
Yes,
actually
yes, you
transform
can
the body,
actually just
right?
manipulate the body's chemistry.
If you manipulate this body fat ratio, fat to muscle ratio, you can literally transform people.
Fitness also has the disadvantage of not being a science. If you compare all the literature in terms of bodybuilding, fitness, training methodology, it's all folklore. All the scientific studies that's been done have been done by third-party companies like Nike on several athletes to test a new fabric for their training uniform, so on and so forth. So we don't have a lot of science on physical exercise, which was done by independent entities. So the science that we had in fitness has not been promoted as such. We didn't know everything from the beginning. But what we did, we got to the point in 2017 that we think we are pretty well sure that we cover close to 100% of what happens chemically in the body when we were working out in whatever way.
So this is what we really strive. I think this is the elite questions that people don't really think about. Everybody, it always goes into more about the food, goes more into like the exercise, which is important.
I would like to add that if you're a person who is responsible and who is proactive about any goals in life, you should put in some time and invest some time into educating yourself into fitness.
I think, and that's really what quantum, especially in this day where we know certain quantum physics has established facts that we are really vibrational energy.
Exercise increases the frequency in which all our organs operate.
Yep. So this is what it's all about, and that's why we formed QuantumMD.org, really changing body transformation, changing people's lives, changing your vibrational frequency.
First medical fitness center.
You got it.
In West Los Angeles.
You got it. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
And again, look up QuantumMD.org.
And have the best day ever.
Have the best day ever. This is NainaMD, Beverly Hills.
Teodoro Gaetano.
We'll see you next week. Fusion of Science and Beauty.